Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, and in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about a very special resource in Marvel Strike Force, and that is gold. You know, this stuff up here, yeah, gold. So I think this isn't really talked about nearly enough, and in today's video, I want to break down some things that I realized that I was doing that I found out that I shouldn't be doing. And I know that maybe not everyone is going to appreciate this advice exactly, but I'm going to be telling you one way that you can cut back on the gold that you may be spending, or maybe not. We'll find out. You know, leave a comment down below if this didn't help you at all. And then in the second part of the video, I want to go over my gold calculator for this patch. So, you know, I basically tallied up everything in this game, more or less, and how much gold that you get on a monthly basis. And, you know, whether or not that's good enough for you, and why I think cutting back on some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is going to help you to have more gold for leveling up those characters that you really need to invest in. So if you're ready to go, everybody, then let's boil this down. So, some of you might be wondering, Boilon, what are you talking about? You're crazy. You have 20 million gold. And yes, I do now. That's because, well, I opened up all those gold orbs from the shopping spree event that was just recently, so that helped. But now I'm basically back down to a low, amount of gold orbs. I'm going to be saving this again because, you never know when a gold orb opening event is going to come back around. But that's not exactly what we're here to talk about. You know, how do you keep up with gearing and leveling up the characters that you need to do on a patchly basis, monthly, patchly basis, whatever you want to talk about or call it. There's ways that you spend gold and ways that you maybe shouldn't be spending gold. What am I talking about? Well, it's actually the supply store. One thing that I found out that I was doing a lot, and, I really started thinking about it maybe just like a week or two ago, was G17 minis. Do I need to be spending 150,000 gold to buy these G17 minis? What am I doing with them? I'm actually not doing very much with them. And so this is going to depend on, maybe where you're in the game. But, I'm pretty far in the game, and I hardly use them. Why? Why not? And that's because I'm not going for Big Apocalypse. Now, this is going to be a separate video as to sort of why I'm not doing that, because that's not the intent of this video here. But I'm not doing that. So I'm not chasing Big Apocalypse. So therefore, my current reasoning behind G17 is a lot less. In the future, of course, we have Dark Dimension 6 around the corner, which means that you're going to inevitably have to gear 17 characters and then G18 those characters. So I will need those then. But right now, there's no rush. There's no rush for me to have to buy these up. But 150k per item is surprisingly a lot of money, and this goes up really, really quickly. So you need about 15 of each of the minis, so 30, I guess, in total, for one equipment piece. And that's a lot. That's like 4.5 million gold worth of G17 minis that you had to buy for one piece of equipment. Just on that, right? And not including the craft cost and everything else that comes with that. Just the mini cost. And that's a lot of money. To put into perspective, that's, to get a level 85 or 90 character now, I believe, is like 16 million gold. And that's not even the new level 95. So you're talking about like a quarter of a full character on one equipment piece. That might not sound like a lot, but if you're doing this every single day, it adds up. Like, so I was buying, because every supply store, I would say, I see at least 2 of these, maybe 3, maybe more. And so I was spending about, every 8 hours, maybe about 300 to 450k. That's almost 1 million gold that I was spending every single day just in the supply store buying up these G17 minis. That doesn't even include any superior uniques, which I do buy on occasion. Like, I'm not going to buy this, but if I am like under 30 of ones or, any really good ones, I'll buy them up with gold. And so that's kind of really all I do. I don't buy G16 minis anymore. I don't do that. There's other ways that you can get them. You can target farm them in the campaign if you really need to. But I understand that you can't farm G17 minis, but that's okay. And I think if you're in the point of the game where you actually need them, then you should be doing good raids. I hope you're at least doing Doom Raid 3. You need to be collecting these teal elite orbs that you should be getting on a regular basis. And so for me, we're doing Doom Raid 3.3. And so we're picking up, I guess, about 2.5 of these teal orbs. I think that's what it is right now, doing 3.3. And I understand that not everyone is going to be there, but not everyone really needs G17 minis. And actually, in fact, most people don't. And so it's not really a rush. And know that Incursion Raid is just around the corner. right? And so with incursion rate around the corner, that means the incursion raid 1 or whatever the difficulty is called, is probably going to present more than what you're getting here for teal elite orb fragments. And then they're also going to include whatever the new orb is called for the G18 minis. They're going to be awarded there as well. So you're going to get more of these G17 mini orbs and also get the G18 orbs. That's just inevitable. So I don't think that there's a rush. There never really seems to be a bottleneck on the gear, in my opinion. And I know that some people are going to say otherwise. But when it comes to G17 and like Big Apocalypse, for example, it's not the gear that's the issue. It's actually the ions. It's the blue 5 ions. And so if you're one of those people who are still thinking about chasing Big Apocalypse, even though I recommend that you don't, for the majority of players, you're going to be stuck waiting on blue 5 ions than you are the G17 gear. I probably could upgrade, for example, most of my horseman characters to G7, not the horseman, but the team to G17 for all the amounts of gear that I've been hoarding. I could upgrade Kang to 17 right now. Why am I not doing it? Just because I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see exactly 100% what the incursion raid details are, but also with Dark Dimension 6 around the horizon, just what kind of characters that I do want to commit to 17. Because if I'm not going to 18, then I don't think you need to go to 17. So I feel that 16 is a good base to leave your characters if you're not sure how far you're going to be taking them into the future. Right? And that's just my opinions, but I think that's pretty valid. And so back to the gold point of this, because I'm not doing a lot of these things, now that gold is giving me more gold that I can use to upgrade my characters. I have characters that are like level 94 that I wouldn't even thought about it. I haven't touched a lot of my older characters because they're not valid, but I have like level 94 Nick Fury. Even some of the newer characters that I've been able to commit to. My invaders are actually looking pretty good right now, even though I don't have Iron Fist unlocked yet. But Nick Fury is 94, Bucky is 94, Union Jack is 90, and Cap is 90. That's really good. I've never had this kind of like gold into a new team this early. My Rebirth, in fact, probably need a little bit of extra work. They're doing not too bad. I'm kind of working on Cap, OG Cap, to 94 as well. But the rest of them, just because I don't really like US Agent, but the rest of them, Agent Venom I took to 90, Captain Carter I took to 90, maybe I'll get Winter Soldier a little bit higher, but I'm going to take Cap to 94 first. So, basically skipping on those minis have allowed me to get the gold that I need for my character. So when I unlock Iron Fist, which hopefully isn't in too long, I will be able to essentially max him out. Because a full character to 90 now is about 16 million gold, like I said. Now that 90 to 95 is going to be another 4 million. So you're looking at 20 million gold for a full character to max level. And it's more important than ever that you're able to get gold, that you're able to save gold, that you're able to have it for what you need to do. And of course, that if you're spending all of your hard-earned gold on these G17 minis, then you're not going to have it when push comes to shove. Now, what happens though when you spend gold in the supply store like this? If you're spending a lot of gold, you're probably not going to run low on training materials, right? Because that means you're not putting that gold into the leveling instead. So there may come a point where you end up having this weird difference in your gold versus training mods. And if that happens, then maybe you should be grinding those nodes in the villains hard mode chapters that have the training orb fragments, if that's a problem for you. Again, I'm not going to be opening these because we've found out that they're also possibly part of an event. So I can't really open a lot of my orbs, but at least when those events go live, I can. So I do hoard my training orbs again for big events. Same with gold orbs. Frankly, any orbs are probably up for grabs, but nonetheless, I don't really have a training mod problem, and that's probably because I was spending a lot of gold in the supply store. But now I'm kind of like, I'm reining that in, because I don't want to do that anymore, and I want to spend more gold actually leveling up my characters, because I feel like I'm getting a little bit behind. Maybe not so right now, but I had to avoid leveling certain characters, namely certain Masters of Evil. I didn't take that high, and I skipped the entire Wakandans and War Dogs because I just did not have the gold to invest in some of these rework teams when I had other characters that I need to raise at that time. So I'm hoping that this allows me to have the gold that I need to do that. Now, in the second part of the video here, I want to talk about this. Now, some of you may, if you're ardent Boilon watchers, you may have seen this in the past. This is basically an updated version, the Gold Calculator patch 7.0. There hasn't been that many changes. There's been some, and actually some removals of gold. I'm not going to go through this one, but there's a lot here. You know, and if you want to see this at another time, comment down below. I could always post this in my Discord if it's, you know, if someone really wants to see this. But basically, I've outlined every source of gold and how much you get on a weekly basis. And by knowing how much gold you get on a weekly basis, you can break it down to daily or monthly. You know, so this is just the daily objectives category. That's 1.6 million per week. Campaign gold. Now, this is heroes, villains up to chapter 5, I believe, before the energy swaps to 30 or 1530. I believe the gold that you get is still roughly the same, but this is still counting that anyways. You get about 2 million gold, almost 2 million gold per week on that one. ISO 8 gold is just from the ISO 8 chapter when you're farming that, assuming 720 energy per day. This campaign gold is assuming 800 energy per day, which is reasonable, I would say. Alliance War. Now, this is where things have changed, actually. So the updates did go up a little bit. So the gold actually did go up about 20%. So it used to be about 500, at least a Platinum 2, it used to be about 500,000 or so per win. And about, I think about 320 per lose. And so that gives us about 1.5 million weekly on Alliance War. But the problem here is that this was actually reduced overall because we lost gold on the monthly login calendar. We were down 1 million gold. There used to be 2 million on the monthly gold, and now it's only 1. And we don't actually get gold orbs anymore. There used to be a gold orb, or there used to be something in there, and now we don't anymore. So we're actually net down about, I would say about 1.2 million gold on the login calendar. So any gold that we actually gained from Alliance War up above, it's actually been just kind of reduced as a result of the login calendar. So that's kind of dumb. Gold Rush Challenge, this hasn't been updated. Payday Flash Event is still the same. Energy Streak Milestone, that is new-ish. So that was here for the last update, but you do get about 500,000 gold weekly for that. So that was a good increase when they added this. But yeah, there hasn't been a lot of improvements otherwise. There is the Blitz gold. Now, things are going to be changing for the next 2 weeks because the structure of Blitz is changing. So this is just what it normally is, which is the Orb Blitzes, the Character Blitz, and the Quick Rumble gold. All of that was just added in here. That's usually about 1.7 million gold per week. We may get a little, because we're getting an additional Blitz, I believe, for the next 2 weeks, so we will get a little bit more gold, but not over the long term, because I believe it's just a temporary measure that they're doing for Blitz. Gold orb fragments, the amount of money that you get in gold orbs have never really changed, and I believe that I base these gold orbs on about a 170k average. I don't know, honestly, I don't know if that could be conservative. It could be a little bit higher than that, maybe about 210, but you know, the total amount of gold orbs that you get on a weekly basis just from Greek raids, gold challenges, and things like that is about 9 or so, maybe a little bit, you know, random sources perhaps from events and whatnot. None of this includes events, by the way, so if there is any gold in events, it does not include this. This is just your day-to-day kind of playing. And so at the end of the day, also, this is the raid gold. That's not changed, so maybe that'll change in the incursion raid, but otherwise gold via a lot of the existing means hasn't really changed. So at the end of the day, when you add all this stuff up, what do you get? You get about 13.6 million gold per week. Okay, so that's not too bad. Now, over the course of a month, that's about 58.5 million gold, or almost 2 million gold daily, which is quite a bit in some ways. But, you know, let's just say, for example, because I mentioned that I was buying about almost 1 million gold, honestly, on G17 minis per day. I was spending buying about 2 or 3 per refresh, so that was about 300 to 450k. So just for sake of argument, let's just say 1.05 million, right? Like 1.050000 times 30 days, right? That's 31.5 million gold that I perhaps was spending on G17 minis. That's wild. You know, and there's a good chance I was actually spending that much, which meant that at the end of the day, I was only down to about 27 million gold, give or take. Oh, yeah, 27 million gold that I would have had left over to upgrade my characters, which is about less than half of what I should have had. Now, knowing that I'm potentially recouping a crap ton of money is great, because it means that I'm actually going to be, you know, I actually want to hit a point where maybe I run out of training mods. I've never had that. You know, a lot of people ask me how I have so many training mods, and honestly, I don't know. And maybe it's because I spend too much gold in the supply store, but maybe some of you are as well. And when you really break it down, it's like I'm breaking down my finances here. It's really crazy to think about how much gold I might have been spending on those G17 minis. So now I just kind of want to finish off over here. This is kind of, why this isn't enough. The amount of gold that we get still, in my opinion, is not really enough when you put these into perspectives, because you know that when the next patch launches, we're going to have G18 minis. We know that they're going to most likely going to be in the supply store, which means that they're going to cost even more than 150k gold, maybe 250k gold. And it's really unsustainable for the amount of gold that we do get in this game. It hasn't really changed in some time. They haven't updated the gold orbs in like forever. I don't even know when the last time that was. But right here, you can see kind of the different milestones in terms of how much gold you need. So this is 1 to 60 gold, 60 to 70, 70 to 75, 75 to 80, and then I kind of subtotaled it all. So what's interesting is actually, if you notice, that the majority of the gold is like post 80. So you need about 8 million gold to, 10 million gold, 1 to 80, plus the gear and abilities for that. And then the rest of it is just post 80. So this is fine for like, the mid game, what I would call the mid game now. But if you're wanting to take characters up higher to what I would call the new end game, which is like level 85 plus, then you're looking at about 13 million gold for level 85 with gear. You're looking at 16 million gold for level 90. And if you want to take characters all the way to level 95, I'm not 95 yet, but soon I will be, then that's going to be about 20 million gold per character. And so knowing what we have up here, which is about, if you want to round up, it would be about 60 million gold, give or take, then that's enough for 3 characters for level 95 to max out. At the level 90 level, that might be about just under 4, but we know that we're basically getting 1 new character every single week. And so if you're caught up, that might be enough for that, but it's not enough when you include characters that often get reworked on patches and things like that, your characters might need to get bumped up, say from the level 70 level, or even from 1, because if you're a newer player, you might not have them leveled up. So while we know that gold is always going to be a bottleneck, I feel that because of the quick pace that they release characters and how often characters get reworked, this is not adequate enough, in my opinion. I think a little bit higher. Does it need to be a crap ton higher? No. Like I would say like even a 10 to 15% boost in monthly gold would go a long way. And maybe I'm asking for so little, but that's basically what I'm saying, is that we're not in a terrible position, but we're not in a great position. So if it was just marginally better by a little bit, then I think we would all be doing a little bit better, obviously, but I think that's what we need, given how fast characters come out and how fast characters are getting reworked in Marvel Strike Force. But that's just my opinion anyways. So what am I recommending? I'm recommending that you stop buying G17 minis if you are doing that, because you'll soon quickly find out how much gold you're spending on a monthly basis by doing that. And does it really matter in the long term? I don't think it does personally. But hey, that's just my opinions. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, what your behaviors are, and kind of what you've been doing with your gold. So that's the end of this video. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.